So Nick Chubb is being linked to the Chicago Bears, and I think the rumors are starting to circulate more and more. And this seems like a very likely outcome for the Chicago Bears running back room. What is up, guys? Welcome back to SoBackSports, and I'm so back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the Nick Chubb situation potentially being a suitor linked to Chicago, and how will this affect Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears offense. But before we get into that, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. It really means a lot and really helps me create content like this for you guys. We've been killing it with the subscriber count, gained about 20 subscribers recently, and we're on that road to get to 700. So I know we can get there together. So feel free to subscribe, like the video as well, and let's get on with the content. And oh yeah, also make sure to follow my social media down there, as you can see. Um, yeah, so back to Nick Chubb. It's an interesting theory because it's like I didn't think Nick Chubb was going to be available given how closely knit he was to Cleveland. He was very much adored in Cleveland and across the league as well. Nick Chubb is one of the more the most one of the greatest running backs and to watch specifically, and it's just unfortunate with the injury history that he's had in the most recent years. But he's electric, great talent nonetheless, but apparently his time in Cleveland is done, and it seems like he's trying to find a new direction. And it could potentially be another another North team in not the AFC North, but the NFC North instead. Um, so why the Bears should pursue Nick Chubb? Here's some reasons. First of all, if we can look at his stats real quick, nothing crazy this past season, but since 20 between 2019 and uh 2022, he's averaged over 1,000 yards each year. Average one of the more healthier running backs as well during that time. Only in the last two seasons where he's had multiple injuries, and he made a comeback this past season. um, he's been kind of on and off, and he's had a career lows necessarily when it comes to his output. Only having 3 touchdowns this season, but only playing 8 games as well. But you got to keep in mind, he's been here for a while. Is now his one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, seventh season. I can't count. Yeah, seventh season in the NFL, and you know he has some ups and downs, especially with Cleveland being, in very topsy turvy organization. But let's take a look at the injury history as well, because that's also going to be a key factor into the decision making process, and the potential when it comes to the money process as well. When it comes to signing a running back with this level of injury, as of right now, his injury history includes, in 2024, foot fracture, 2023, uh, grit, a tear, and multiple injuries throughout his career in the NFL. And I think as well, I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments below. I feel like he had a injury in college as well in Georgia, so that also plays a factor into it. But as of right now, we've been seeing a lot of video surfacing of him working out, doing crazy squats with an insane amount of weight, jumping over hurdles that are like about 4 or 5 feet high and whatnot, like things like that that give you some insight into, hey, that he could potentially make a comeback, you know. But at the end of the day, those are just videos. Those are just workout videos. There's not actual contact when it comes to you know the actual NFL game. Uh, it can be very misleading per se. But going back to the thing about Nick Chubb being a Chicago Bear, I personally think that it could be a great move. But here are my caveats to that. I think for the most part, Nick Chubb's injury history is a big concern. And I think Ben Johnson recognizes that. But for the right price, if it's like a 1 year, $8 million guaranteed contract, nothing that will go too much, I think why not? You know? And right now we're trying to build that run game right now. And as of right now, with getting Monangai in the 7th round, that's our only running back right now that we have drafted. And, with DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson, Travis Homer, Ian Wheeler potentially as well. But Ian Wheeler is also coming off a major injury that's kind of sidelined him um, for that entire season. He would have made the roster according to Hard Knocks. But, you know, with DeAndre Swift being your only veteran per se, and you can even make an argument about Roshan Johnson as well being a veteran, even though he's only been in the league for 3 years. It's it'd be good. It's going to be good to have two veteran running backs in the room. And while I do think that it is kind of unlikely that's going to happen, I think it might, affect the depth chart, and I think it will affect, who's going to make the roster per se. I think overall this could really benefit the Chicago Bears run game. Having the more improved offensive line this season, and with Ben Johnson being able to call good run plays and running schemes and whatnot, I think Nick Chubb can definitely benefit from a system like that. I don't think necessarily Kevin Stefanski wasn't necessarily a bad head coach or anything like that, or he has bad play calling. I just think that the roster construction and the strung how cap strung the Cleveland Browns were kind of affected, the overall scheme that he wanted to do in Cleveland. Whereas in Chicago, you have an opportunity to work with a very dynamic head coach and kind of work under a really dynamic offense that relies on two tight end sets potentially, and has a more improved offensive line. And I think Nick Chubb, he will not carry the brunt like how he did in Cleveland. Because I think in Cleveland, if the run game would only work if Nick Chubb or Jerome Ford were cooking. And if Jerome Ford was not cooking, and Nick Chubb would have to do all the work, and especially coming off a major injury like that, it's going to take some time to get used to. And you saw the brunt of that. He only had 300 yards to end the season and 3 touchdowns. But then again, Nick Chubb, I think overall, despite the injury history and the injuries that he's accumulated over his course of his career, can provide a lot. A veteran presence. I think that's going to be super important for the locker room, especially for someone like Kyle Manangai as well, who, you drafted in the 7th round, nothing too crazy. But I think with his, development potentially, and I know it's a 7th round pick, I know it's not a huge deal, but I think he has huge upside if he turns out to be really good for the Chicago Bears. Um, and with the run game and how important this season is for Ben Johnson, with the more improved roster, with the amount of weapons that we have, with the improved offensive line, it can only benefit Caleb Williams to have a really decent run game as well. And DeAndre Swift, say what you want about him, he had a relatively decent season, not the best, obviously, with a very up and down season. But when he was on, he was on. Like, he genuinely did well when it comes to certain long plays. Like, a lot of the games that we were like not in, we were in because of DeAndre Swift and the run plays. But I think that Nick Chubb is going to be pretty solid for this team, and it just I really hope he does end up here. If he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. It's not like we're missing out necessarily on a lot, because we do have, DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson would be running it back, and Ben Johnson would pretty much just evaluate this year and see what the running backs we have. Like, let's see what we have. And then next season, we'll go out and get a running back in the draft or in free agency or whatnot. And I think that's the approach. And the more and more time goes by, the more and more the rumors start to circulate and pick up heat as well. So I wouldn't mind it personally, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Would you be interested in having Nick Chubb on this roster for a very cheap deal? I think it would be very useful, but let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. Always remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow my social medias down below. And as always, guys, we'll see you guys in the next one.